very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Now, Section 144 has been imposed in Latur district of Maharashtra to avoid violence over water. Well, that is the big story that we'll be carrying. Also in the top international focus, the US President Barack Obama has arrived in Cuba for a historic visit to the island nation. We'll tell you all the details. Let us begin with the headlines. Prime Minister addresses BJP National Executive Meet, says party workers should not get affected by negative politics and only focus on development. Congress writes to Prime Minister over killing of 2 cattle traders in Latehar in Jharkhand, accuses centre of failing to rein in groups that are attempting to polarize. 5 people arrested in case that police says was that of loot. Prohibitory orders in Latur over fears of fight following water scarcity. Congress takes on Devendra Fadnavis government. Residents spend night in queues to fetch water. PDP Chief Mehbooba Mufti likely to meet Arun Jaitley in Delhi. This will be her second trip to capital in 5 days as deadlock over government formation in Jammu and Kashmir continues. And Obama is on a historic visit to Cuba, first sitting US president to visit country since the 1959 revolution. Well, the 2-day BJP National Executive Meet ended on Sunday with the Prime Minister's address. The Prime Minister advised party workers to only focus on development, reiterating his election mantra of Vikas. He said that efforts were being made to push the government off course, but leaders must ensure that do not get affected by negative politics. He also praised his government, saying that there has been no case of corruption in the last 22 months.
Vikas is my only focus. This is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi spelled out at the BJP National Executive Meet on Sunday. Speaking on the concluding day of the meet, Modi reminded party workers to concentrate only on development work and not get trapped in the politics of negativity. Since the event was meant for party workers, details of the Prime Minister's speech were shared with the media by Home Minister Rajnath Singh.
सरकार ने अपने 22 महीनों के कार्यकाल में जो कुछ भी किया है, आज तक हमारी सरकार के ऊपर कोई भी भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप नहीं लगा है। केवल आर्थिक भ्रष्टाचार की बात नहीं, कोई राजनीतिक आरोप भी हमारी सरकार के ऊपर नहीं लगा है।
Rajnath also revealed that the Prime Minister asked every party worker to ensure positivity and creativity in their work. He urged them to reach out to villages across the country and spread the good work being done by the NDA government. He also praised the way the organization has expanded, especially in remote areas.
प्रधानमंत्री ने भारतीय जनता पार्टी के संगठन का जो विस्तार हुआ है, उसकी प्रशंसा की है। उन्होंने कहा कि हमारा पिछला वर्ष भारतीय जनता पार्टी के संगठन के विस्तार का वर्ष था और संगठन का विस्तार दूर दराज क्षेत्रों तक हुआ है।
Earlier in the day, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley addressed the meet where he spoke on the recent GNU incident. Jaitley said freedom of expression and nationalism can coexist.
समाज में डिसेंट का अधिकार हो, डिसएग्रीमेंट का अधिकार हो, इसके हम पूर्ण समर्थन में हैं। लेकिन इस देश का संविधान डिसेंट की पूर्ण स्वतंत्रता देता है, देश के डिस्ट्रक्शन की स्वतंत्रता नहीं देता।
He also spoke on the stalemate over government formation in Jammu and Kashmir, stressing that the party is committed to the agenda of governance in the state.
जो एजेंडा फॉर गवर्नेंस बना था जम्मू कश्मीर के संबंध में, हम आज भी उस एजेंडा फॉर गवर्नेंस के प्रति प्रतिबद्ध हैं। प्रस्ताव में किस प्रकार से कांग्रेस के लोगों ने जब सरकार में थे, इशरत जहां मामले में देश की राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा के साथ खिलवाड़ की है, उसका भी एक जिक्र आया है।
The two-day national executive meet of the BJP also focused on ways to improve its performance in the upcoming assembly elections in 5 states. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley defended the slashing of interest rates. Now, speaking to media persons soon after the BJP National Executive meet, Arun Jaitley said that the country has to move towards lower interest rates to make the economy more efficient rather than sluggish. He said that interest rates on small saving schemes were formula-based and the government uses its resources to give subsidy on these schemes above the rates determined by the market. He also expressed hope that the GST and the bankruptcy bills will be passed in the second part of the budget session of Parliament.
क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट पे इंटरेस्ट बर्डन बढ़ता है। नाउ द इंटरेस्ट रेट्स हैव कम डाउन और आज जिस दिशा में देश की अर्थव्यवस्था चल रही है उसमें यह स्थिति नहीं हो सकती कि बैंक के लेंडिंग रेट्स नीचे आए लेकिन जो डिपॉजिट रेट्स हैं वो ऊपर रहेंगे। दोनों का लिंक होता है आपस में। So to make the economy more efficient rather than sluggish, the country has to move towards the lower interest rates in both areas.
Big story coming in from Jharkhand, where the death of 2 cattle traders in Latehar district has snowballed into a political storm. Now, Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad has written a letter to the Prime Minister expressing concerns over the rise of vigilantism by several groups across the country. Now, 5 people have been arrested in connection with the case that the police in Jharkhand say is a case of loot. The alleged killing of a 32-year-old man and a teenager involved in cattle trade in Latehar in Jharkhand is turning into a political fight now, with the Congress accusing the central government of failing to rein in people who polarize. In a 2-page letter to the Prime Minister, senior Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad said, and I quote, "Such incidents of victimization, harassment and persecution of those involved in cattle trade have risen very sharply across the length and breadth of the country, with extrajudicial mobs and vigilant groups taking law in their own hands." Azad also said that while he welcomes the Prime Minister's recent statements on diversity being the bedrock of Indian democracy, he questioned why the PM's message is not reaching those within his own country. He wrote, and I quote, "What is surprising is that no perceptible effort on the part of the government and BJP leadership is being made to rein in such elements, giving rise to the suspicion that it is part of the deliberate strategy to polarize and divide." Unquote. Jharkhand Chief Minister Raghubar Das assured that the administration is working to contain the situation, but the state Congress has said law and order in the state is in tatters. The Jharkhand Vikas Morcha has demanded a CBI probe, terming the incident worse than that witnessed in Dadri in Uttar Pradesh.
इस संदर्भ में पुलिस प्रशासन वहाँ काम कर रही है और विलंब जो भी अभियुक्त तो गिरफ्तार होंगे और इस घटना की पुनरावृत्ति ना हो, हमने प्रशासन को आदेश दिया।
ये सरकार के संरक्षण में, सरकार टोटली फेल्योर हुई है। सरकार के संरक्षण में इस प्रकार के अमानवीय कृत्य को अंजाम दिया गया है।
पूरे मामले की सीबीआई या फिर हाई कोर्ट के सिटिंग जज से न्यायिक जांच हो ताकि अपराधी पकड़े जा सके, सजा उनको मिले। दूसरी, मृतक के परिवारों को 50-50 लाख रुपया मुआवजा मिले और एक सरकारी नौकरी मिले।
5 people have been arrested in connection with the killing, but the family of the victims say there are more people involved.
जब तक के पूरा सदस्य जो 10-12 लोग हैं, वो लोग पूरा जब तक की गिरफ्तारी नहीं आज हो जाता है तब तक के कोई संतुष्ट नहीं है इसमें।
Prohibitory orders have been clamped in Balumat area of the district. The police say that the motive behind the killings was to loot the cattle that the 2 victims were taking for an animal fair in neighbouring Chhatra district. The violence following the incident has left a sub-divisional officer and 6 policemen injured. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And the other big story of the day, in what is perhaps a first in the state of Maharashtra, authorities in droughted Latur district have now stepped up guard in order to avoid violence over water. Now, prohibitory orders have been imposed here in order to avoid any violence over water shortage.
Authorities in drought-hit Latur have imposed an order prohibiting the gathering of more than 5 people in areas around wells and water-filling tanks until 31st of May. The direction was issued under Section 144 as a preventive measure to tackle possible violence over water around the Latur civic body run tanks. The notified places include all tanker filling points, public wells, tanker plying routes and storage tanks in the district.
काही घटना घडल्या होत्या ज्यामध्ये कायदा व सुव्यवस्थेचा प्रश्न निर्माण करण्याचा प्रयत्न झालेला होता. त्याला प्रतिबंधात्मक म्हणून हा आदेश काढण्यात आलेला आहे. हा आदेश फक्त लातूरच्या सभोवतालच्या 5 ठिकाणच लागू आहे.
जो भी पानी अवेलेबल हो रहा है वो सबको समान मात्रा में मिले और सबको मिले, कम से कम थोड़ा थोड़ा तो, लेकिन सबको मिलना चाहिए. इसलिए यहाँ वो धारा 144 लगाई है और उससे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में ठीक तरह से होगा ऐसे मुझे लगता है.
Former Maharashtra Chief Minister Ashok Chavan and Maharashtra Congress Chief targeted the state government after Section 144 was imposed. They said that the situation could have been avoided had the Devendra Fadnavis-led government acted earlier.
45 दिन तक पानी पीने का पानी जब मिलेगा नहीं तो स्वाभाविक ही वहाँ की परिस्थिति तो स्फोटक या एक्सप्लोजिव होने की बिल्कुल संभावना है. इसलिए पुलिस ने ये खबरदारी के तौर पे कुछ किया होगा, पर इसके लिए गवर्नमेंट जिम्मेदार है. लोगों के हालात को अगर ध्यान में रखते हुए सरकार कुछ मदद करती थी तो ये नौबत नहीं आती.
सीना झपटी को कम करने का तरीका यह है कि पानी की सप्लाई बढ़ाया जाए, न कि 144 की धारा लगा करके लोगों को डराया धमकाया जाए. लोगों के बीच वहाँ सप्ताह में 1 दिन टैंकर जा रहा है. मुझे लगता है सरकार बहुत ही संवेदनहीन हो गई है. सरकार फालतू के मुद्दों पे काम कर रही है, जबकि उनको पानी के मुद्दे पे ज्यादा काम करना चाहिए.
With the dams going dry and municipal corporations disconnecting complete water supply, youngsters and old women alike are forced to hit the streets in Latur at midnight for water. Parked vehicles, hand carts and residents stand in queue for at least 3 hours, waiting their turn to fill empty vessels, highlighting the worsening water situation.
काफ़ी लंबी लग चुकी है यहाँ पर, इसलिए हम इतने सवेरे 7 बजे से यहाँ पानी के लिए ठहरे हैं.
कॉर्पोरेशन नहीं दे रही क्या पानी?
पानी कोई नहीं ला कर दे रहा, अभी बंद हो गया पानी.
टैंकर से
टैंकर वगैरह कोई नहीं आ रहा.
टैंकर के ऊपर जो मारामारी हो रही है, जो कुछ बातें पैदा हो रही है, जो चीज़ नहीं होना चाहिए, तो ये नुकसानदेह है. और प्रशासन ने इस धारा लगा के आम आदमी की आवाज़ दबाने का काम किया है.
Latur is one of the worst drought-hit districts in the Marathwada region, with tens of thousands of people migrating to other parts of the state and hundreds of farmers committing suicide. Despite receiving scanty rains, successive governments in Maharashtra have failed to invest in irrigation and other infrastructure in the region. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Jammu and Kashmir now. Well, as the deadlock over government formation in the state continues, now PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti is likely to visit Delhi today and meet senior BJP leader and Union Minister Arun Jaitley for talks. Now, this would be her second trip to the national capital in 5 days. Mehbooba Mufti is also likely to call a meeting with her senior party leaders in coming days to clear their misgivings about the stalemate. Meanwhile, the BJP on Sunday said that it was fully committed to the agenda of governance in the state, though the issue of government formation in Jammu and Kashmir did not come up for discussion at the party's national executive meet, which concluded in Delhi on Sunday. Arun Jaitley said that the political resolution emphasized commitment to the agenda of governance in the state. Remember, earlier PDP and the BJP had failed to end the deadlock as the meeting between their respective party presidents could not make any headway. Mehbooba's is now expected also meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi did not happen, while the BJP has said that it could not agree to fresh conditions put forth by the PDP. The regional party maintained that it only wanted assurances on a time frame for the implementation of the agenda of alliance, which was agreed between the two parties last year. And now for all the election-related stories, here is the election wrap. Chief Election Commissioner Naseem Zaidi along with the election commissioners will commence a 2-day visit to Assam state to review the poll preparations ahead of the assembly polls in the state. Polling for the first phase will be held on 4th of April in 65 seats, while the second phase will take place on the 11th. Counting of the votes will take place on 19th of May. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has so far seized nearly 3 crore rupees in unaccounted money and over 4 lakh litres of illicit liquor from the state of Assam ahead of the polls. Around 5.5 kilograms of drugs have also been seized. Also, it is the last day of withdrawal of nominations for the Assam polls. 599 candidates have already filed their nominations for 65 constituencies, which are going to polls in the first phase on 4th of April. However, 30 nominations were rejected due to technical issues. After the removal of 37 officials, the Election Commission removed another IPS official in poll-bound state of West Bengal following complaints from opposition parties. The transfer order came a couple of days after the Election Commission, led by Chief Election Commissioner Naseem Zaidi, had visited the city and interacted with political leaders. The Left Front has unveiled a 16-page manifesto for the West Bengal Assembly elections. In the manifesto, the Left Front has promised to restore freedom to express one's opinion in the state and has also alleged that the Trinamool Congress has failed to attract investments during the last 5 years of their rule. In Chennai, the Election Commission launched its campaign on vehicles with LED screens that will cover the state, asking people to cast their vote. Each district has a vehicle with LED screen and it will go to every locality and run its ads and campaigns. The initiative has been taken to achieve a maximum voter turnout during the polls. In order to ensure accuracy in information tendered by candidates during the upcoming assembly polls, the Election Commission has deployed professionals. They'll be called return preparers who will assist the contestants in filing their affidavits and expenditure statements. The unique module is called the Election Commission Return Preparers or the ECREP scheme. It will be available in all the 4 poll-bound states of West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and also in the Union Territory of Puducherry, which is going to polls beginning 4th of April. And now a follow-up on what is happening in Uttarakhand. Well, the Speaker has now issued notices to 9 rebel Congress leaders to explain why they should not be disqualified from the assembly. Now, this comes as the BJP and the Congress sparred over the political situation in the state. Now, Congress has accused the BJP of horse trading, while the BJP has accused the Congress of failing to keep its house in order.
Allegations flying thick and fast between the Congress and the BJP over the political situation in Uttarakhand. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley accusing the Congress of not being able to keep its house in order, while Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi accusing the BJP of engineering defection to topple elected governments.
मतलब लोकतंत्र संख्या के आधार पर चलता है और अगर स्पीकर ये कहे कि मैं फेल्ड बिल को पास्ट बिल मानता हूं तो ये अद्भुत स्थिति संवैधानिक दायरे में पैदा होती है.
In a series of tweets, Rahul alleging the BJP is indulging in horse trading. Rahul said the Congress will continue to fight this attack.
डेमोक्रेटिकली इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट को डिस्टेबलाइज करना और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट को एक तरीके से अपने पॉलिटिकल पावर को इस्तेमाल करके अपने पार्टी का गवर्नमेंट बनाने की जो उनकी कोशिश हो रही है इसको मैं खंडन करता हूं.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी पूरी तरीके से जो उनकी केंद्र सरकार है उसके बलबूते पर राज्य सरकारों को डिस्टेबलाइज करने पर तुली हुई है. लोकतंत्र की हत्या कर रहे हैं, कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म की बात करते हैं और एक एक करके चुन चुन करके विरोध पक्ष की सरकारों को निशाना बनाने का काम कर रहे हैं, उनको रास्ते से हटाने का काम कर रहे हैं. हाँ, ये एक प्रकार का इनकाउंटर है. अब पहले हॉर्स घोड़े की टांग तोड़ी, अब हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग करके जो है उत्तराखंड की टांग तोड़ना चाह रहे हैं.
The 4-year-old Congress government in the hill state slipped into a crisis after 9 party MLAs raised a banner of revolt and backed the BJP, which staked claim to form the government. The trouble began apparently over a controversial finance bill. The BJP claims that while a majority of MLAs voted against the bill, the Speaker declared it passed. The BJP claims a no confidence motion against the Speaker has been given. Rebel Congress leader Harak Singh Rawat has been removed from the cabinet.
जिस तरह विधानसभा अध्यक्ष ने स्वतः ही अपने निर्णय में सिर्फ हरीश भाई की सरकार को कुछ दिनों की सांसें देने के लिए बहुमत से पास कर दिया, वो हमारे हाथ में और एक बड़ा ब्रह्मशास्त्र दे दिया।
Meanwhile, the Speaker has issued notices to 9 rebel Congress MLAs asking them why they should not be disqualified from the House.
मैंने उनसे जवाब मांगा है और नोटिस दिया है और 26 तारीख 5 बजे तक का उनको समय दिया गया है और उनका जवाब आने के बाद फिर जो पत्र मुझे दिया गया है कांग्रेस पार्टी की तरफ से, उन दोनों को देखने के बाद, कानूनी पहलुओं की जानकारी लेने के बाद संवैधानिक प्रक्रिया पूरी करते हुए मैं अगला निर्णय करूंगा।
Uttarakhand Governor Krishnakant Paul has asked Chief Minister Harish Rawat to prove his majority on the floor of the State Assembly by 28th of March. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A very short break in here. Up next, all the sports news and international news. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritanshu Rai. You're watching Constitutionally Yours.
अपने को एक्सप्रेस करने की स्वतंत्रता बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशियस राइट है।
फ्रीडम का अर्थ ये नहीं है कि किसी के डिफेमेशन तक जाए, हम राष्ट्रद्रोह तक जाए।
क्या जातिगत आरक्षण सही है?
जब तक सोसाइटी को सूट होने तक है तब तक वो बात ठीक है। यदि सोसाइटी को सूट नहीं होता है तो हमको कानून बदलना ही पड़ेगा।
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. On to the big international story that we are tracking. Well, US President Barack Obama arrived in Cuba on Sunday for a historic visit. Obama will hold talks with Cuban President Raul Castro today. Both the leaders are expected to discuss the trade and political reforms. Here are all the details.
A historic visit. Barack Obama became the first sitting US president to visit Cuba since the 1959 revolution, the beginning of an end to hostilities post the Cold War era. Obama landed at Havana's Jose Marti International Airport aboard Air Force One along with his family. He struck a chord of friendship with the staff of the newly reopened US Embassy in Cuban capital, reiterating it was a historic opportunity to engage directly with Cubans.
It's been nearly 90 years since a U.S. president stepped foot in Cuba. It is wonderful to be here. Back in 1928, President Coolidge came on a battleship. It took him 3 days to get here. It only took me 3 hours. We've got a lot of proud Americans here, but we also have a lot of proud Cubans. So, come on down.
Sea el único que ha sido más o menos que ha querido compartir con Cuba y nos preocupa que pongan otro que no quiera esa relación entre Cuba y Estados Unidos.
Cuban President Raul Castro will roll out the red carpet for the US president, opening a new chapter in US-Cuba relations. They will discuss trade and political reforms. But Obama has no plans to meet the former Cuban president and revolutionary leader Fidel Castro. Obama will also meet political dissidents and will address Cubans live on state-run media. He will be in Cuba for 3 days.
The first time ever Air Force One has landed in Cuba, and this is our very first stop. So this is a historic visit, and it's a historic opportunity to engage directly with the Cuban people and to forge new agreements and commercial deals, to build new ties between our two peoples, and for me to lay out my vision for a future that's brighter than our past.
But all is not well with the US and Cuba in the diplomatic front. A 54-year-old US economic embargo is still in place and can only be lifted by a vote in the Congress. Cuba still complains about the occupation of the US naval base at Guantanamo Bay. Both US and Cuba agreed to end decades of frozen relations early in December 2014. Since then, there have been commercial deals on telecoms and a scheduled airline service, increased cooperation on law enforcement. The US president played the tourist on his first night on the Caribbean island and took time out of his office to visit the old Havana with First Lady Michelle Obama and their daughters. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, first US president to visit Cuba since 1928. On to news from Europe. Well, the Belgian foreign minister today said that the prime suspect of the Paris attacks, Salah Abdeslam, was planning more attacks in Brussels before he was arrested. Now, Belgian officials have recovered many weapons and have uncovered a new terror network in the city. Currently, Abdul Salam is being interrogated in Belgium. He was arrested in a raid in Brussels on Friday. France, meanwhile, reinforced its border security. Interpol has warned that accomplices may try to flee across frontiers. Meanwhile, Abdul Salam's lawyer threatened legal action against a Paris prosecutor for breach of confidentiality of the investigation. His lawyer said that Abdul Salam had admitted that he wanted to blow himself up during the attacks on 13th of November, but then he changed his mind. The Paris attack suspect is fighting extradition to France. It could take up to 3 months.
The first comments coming from Salah Abdeslam was yesterday that he wanted to go to the Stade de France in Paris, and it was to be a suicide bombing, but he stopped. We don't know why, but he stopped. And the next informations are that he was ready to restart something from Brussels. And it's maybe the reality, because I said we have found a lot of weapons, heavy weapons, in the first investigations, and we have seen a new network of people around him in Brussels.
Let's get you some more international stories in World Wrap. Australia will hold an early election if the Senate fails to pass laws aimed at curbing corruption. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has asked the Governor-General to recall both houses of Parliament on 19th of April to deal with the bills. The government has introduced bills to re-establish a construction industry watchdog to Senate 5 times. Turkey on Sunday blamed a Turkish member of Islamic State for Saturday's suicide bombing in Istanbul, which killed 3 Israelis and an Iranian. Meanwhile, a football match between 2 of the Istanbul's top teams has been postponed for security reasons. At least 13 people were killed in a bus crash on a Spanish motorway between the cities of Barcelona and Valencia. Most passengers on board were foreign students on the Erasmus program. They were returning to Barcelona after a trip to a fireworks festival. The identities of those killed have not been made public. An investigation is underway. Now to some sports news. First, cricket. West Indies and South Africa have won their respective matches at the ICC World T20. Now, West Indies brushed aside Sri Lanka by 7 wickets in the tournament's Super 10 match on Sunday. Opener Andre Fletcher smashed an unbeaten 84 that included 5 sixes and 6 fours as the West Indies successfully chased down Sri Lanka's paltry score of 122 for 9. The win was set up by a strong bowling performance by the West Indies, with the pace bowler Carlos Brathwaite drawing first blood by getting the in-form Tilakratne Dilshan out LBW with his first ball of the match in the 3rd over. Dilshan was out for 12 subsequently, and his strike partner Chandimal also suffered a soft dismissal as he was run out on 16 in the 5th over. Meanwhile, in another match of the tournament, South Africa beat Afghanistan by 37 runs. AB de Villiers hit a quick-fire half-century and struck 64 off just 29 balls. Left-hander Quinton de Kock made 45 and Du Plessis 41 set the Afghans a formidable run chase of 210. Afghanistan, however, made a flying start to their run chase, racing to 50 in just 3.4 overs. But the Gulfin class was evident as they eventually fell short on 172 all out on the last ball. Chris Morris was the star of the South African bowling. He took 4 wickets for just 27.
Yes, it is.
Meanwhile, good news coming in. India's young shuttler HS Pranoy clinched his second Grand Prix Gold badminton tournament title. He notched up a straight game victory over Mark Zwiebler of Germany in the summit clash of the Swiss Open in Basel on Sunday. Now, 13th seed Pranoy outclassed 7th seed Zwiebler 21-18, 21-15 in a 45-minute final. Pranoy began the match on a confident note and he surged to a 7-4 lead in the first game before the German, who is ranked 19th as compared to the Indians' 27th, fought his way back into the match. The two rivals then were tied at 18 all. And it was from there that the Indian took 3 straight points at a crucial juncture to take the opening game 21-18. Well, that's all in this edition of News, but news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for your time.